Welcome to Hameen Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, we are back, part 3, the third section of the return, Dan. We are doing part 14. We are like the dreamer, but I got some stuff to talk about before we begin. I don't know if you do. You know, we have a show. It gets out there. It reaches people. And then sometimes people contact us, which is very exciting. And I've been contacted by authors. The Tao of Twin Peaks author, he had contacted me, and another author contacted me recently, Brent Simon, and he sent me his book, The Dreamer's Path, which, Dan, everybody's got a book about, not everybody, but a lot of people have a book about Twin Peaks.
Sure.
Talk about Twin Peaks, or you're talking about the films of David Lynch, or you're talking about analysis stuff.
Yeah.
You're talking about theories, talking about
music,
stuff that I like. My favorite type of thing is kind of like the oral history of something. I'm a big fan of the behind the scenes stuff and all that. This guy, his whole book is about David Lynch as an actor.
Oh.
Subtitle of the book is Twin Peaks and David Lynch, the actor. What a that's got to be the only book of its kind, I would say. Now, I've talked before about how much I like Zelly and Me, which David Lynch is in. He's great in Lucky, which is another movie that I've plugged on this very podcast. I'm definitely looking forward to checking the book out, as you should as well out there. After we do, because Dan and I have to be reading the final dossier.
Well, we got to be reading / listening to the voice actors in that one, which I think is the right way to go. That's one I haven't read. I read, the final dossier. No, the Secret History before. But
Sure.
This is new. I'm very excited. But I don't want to get to it because we have all this other good stuff to get to still in the return. And I'm going to be sad when we get to the end. So
yeah. So if you're reading at home, following along with us, you should be reading now. It's not a book. It's half the size of the Secret History. I like I like to hold it. Those books are beautifully designed. I have not read the final dossier since it came out. Whereas Secret History I read and then I listened to the audiobook. But I'm interested to see what happens when I return to it.
I say the best way to do it is read and listen to the audiobook. It's like they're reading to you, and you get to have best of both worlds. But can't wait for it. But Eric, we're not here to talk about the final dossier. We're here to talk about the final third of the return.
We are. But before that, I also
I tried. Look at my trying to do a segue, and it didn't even fucking work.
Yep. It was a beautiful segue.
I
It was
tried.
picture perfect.
Oh, well.
There is some guy right now doing a mural of you of how perfect that segue was on the side of a van. You're shirtless, but tasteful.
Thank you.
And it just says segue, or you're on a Segway.
I want a segue going over a cliff because it didn't work. Yeah.
That Segway you like is going to come back and sell. No, I want to say a shout out to friend of the show, Mr. Dana Gould. If you enjoyed our interview and you enjoy hanging with Dr. Z right now, he has an Indiegogo campaign going up for season number 4, in which you become the producer. You're making it happen. It's completely funded by donations. So I'll put the link in the show notes. If you're interested, check it out. Put a few dollars towards the show, and they'll make more Hanging with Dr. Z. So we're hearing from all sorts of people, Dan. Also, we heard from Emily Fleming, who also has a podcast called Free with Ads over on MaximumFun.org. Dan remembers. We used to listen to
Jesse Go.
Yeah, well, before, wasn't it? It was Bullseye at one point.
Bullseye, that's who. Yeah.
But then before that, it had a name. where he was like America's sweetheart.
That was still Bullseye, I think, but now that's on National Public Radio.
I remember it changing to Bullseye. I swear to God, if you look it up.
Yeah, you might be right. I've always thought of it as Bullseye. I like Jordan Jesse Go better, but I don't know.
So hey, it looks good. She's got a podcast free with ads, and I know they do the Twin Peaks pilot because I'm looking at this list of episodes. So yeah, I like hearing from creative people. I've heard from people in bands. I've heard from all sorts of people in the arts. So if you're making something, let me know. I'll do my best to shout it out because we all could use a boost. We're not here to talk about wonderful books from authors who love Twin Peaks as much as we do. We're here to talk about dreamers because we are like the dreamer. Of course, I'm talking about part 14, August 13th, 2017. If you got nothing, Dan, we can jump into this.
I'm raring to go.
Case number 1. This started the whole thing. 1975. 2 young field agents investigate a murder in Olympia, Washington. They arrive at a motel to arrest a suspect named Lois Duffy. They hear a gunshot outside a room and kick the door in. They find 2 women inside. One on the floor dying from a bullet wound to the abdomen. The other holds a gun which she drops as she backs away when they enter. They recognize the wounded woman as Lois Duffy. She speaks her last words to them. "I'm like the blue rose." She smiles, then dies, then disappears before their eyes. The other woman screaming in the corner they now notice is also Lois Duffy. By the way, Lois Duffy did not have a twin sister. Then, while awaiting trial for a murder she swore she didn't commit, this Lois hangs herself. Those 2 arresting officers were Gordon Cole and Philip Jeffries. Now, what's the one question you should ask me?
What's the significance of the blue rose?
And the answer?
Blue rose does not occur in nature. It's not a natural thing. The dying woman was not natural. Conjured. What's the word? A tulpa.
Dan, Gordon Cole, you remember him. He calls Twin Peaks, and Frank Truman gets on the phone. He tells Cole all about Laura's missing pages. Dan, what did you think of Gordon Cole? You got Lucy and Cole. You got a bunch of stuff.
We get vintage Gordon Cole loud on the phone gags throughout this entire episode, and I love it, starting with Lucy. The big eyes as she pulls the phone away from her is terrific. The conversations they have. Lucy, have you been there all this time through all the years? She says, really makes me think about what you were talking about. That when we don't see them, they don't exist. They just kind of been like in this kind of, I don't know, in a world that doesn't exist unless they're actually being actively observed. But we do find out, at least in her own imagination, at least, they've gone home, they take a vacation, and they went to Bora Bora, which is pretty fabulous. I just got back from Bora Bora for my 50th birthday, Eric. That's where I was.
Oh, well, happy 50th birthday, Dan.
Thank you. I didn't see the Brennans there, so our timelines didn't intersect.
Okay.
But that was pretty cool. Anyway, yes. So it does definitely make me think of that, your theory, the thermostat, all of that, the crazy photograph with the cutout faces of the family and Wally together. Definitely feels weird.
Right. Especially the way he asks, like, you've been here this whole time? Like,
right.
Yeah, they
right.
only exist in that moment.
Not to be like pull David Lynch out of the character of Gordon Cole, but it almost is a little bit of like, oh yeah, you've still been here waiting for me to come back to all this. It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's something we will return to in this episode.
Looking forward to it. And the 2 of them, just that very long silence between the 2 of them is great. There's a bunch of those in this episode too, and I really like how they draw it out forever.
What do you think Cole thinks when Lucy says when he gets very quiet? because when it's following the Bora Bora line,
Mm-hmm.
and you see the pained look on Cole's face. Like what do you think he heard that was so inappropriate that he's just quiet?
Oh, I didn't even really think it was that joke.
Or whatever joke, like something that he missed.
No. I love that. I think it's a great idea. Because they really amped it up in the previous episodes recently. So I really should have thought of something already. To me, it was just him waiting, like, are you gonna transfer me? Like, that's all that it was. What Bora Bora? Identification of Bora Bora. I don't know. That's good though.
Yeah, I think it's left to be whatever you want to pop in your head.
Let's workshop something. Let's workshop something for the next half hour.
That's definitely. I mean, that's a thing that they keep sort of doing, where he misunderstands. But the look on his face, like, I can't imagine she thinks her and Andy were doing.
Oh my God!
But it's something to ponder.
Filthy, whatever it was. Then we get Lucy doing her typical bit, transferring the phone over to Frank, and he's just so patient and good-natured about waiting for her to finish. It's line 1. That's the one that's blinking right now. Where Harry, you could see sometimes he's just, oh God, got to get through it. Frank is just so much more gentle with all of this. I mean, everything interaction with Wally previously, I just love Frank. He's such a great addition to the show. The conversation between Cole and Frank about Harry was also very touching.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Harry a ton. I love Frank in his stead. Really nice, but it is great to hear that. It makes me feel like he actually is sick. And I know it's like he didn't want to do the show, but it's like, oh, it really does feel poignant because there are so many episodes where it's like in memoriam at the end. So it really does have that kind of hanging over the entire show. Frank knew he needed to reach out to Cole after Hawk found the missing pages of Laura's diary and the mention of the 2 Coopers. Obviously reinforced when we saw them finding Major Briggs's note. So he knew he needed to reach out to Cole. Frank being like, this is really weird. I don't know what you're going to make of it. And I'm just like, Cole has done weird. This is nothing. His comfort zone is weird. And whenever he hangs up and Cole says, yeah, I can't tell you anything about it, but that was great to hear. Throughout this entire episode, Frank looks like he's just on the tip of his toes. He's ready to go. He's tapping on the desk. He's a man of action and isn't quite sure what to do yet. And I think maybe it's because later in the episode, like, the time is coming.
Yeah. Or he's got to get home because somebody got into the cabinet above. One of the twins maybe is stuck in the cabinet, or the brakes don't work on his wife's car.
Did they ever fix the leak is really what I want to know. We'll never know. Well, Eric, what else is in this scene?
Get a bigger bucket. Oh, yeah. This episode has so many callbacks to the original series that I love. There's a few of them. I'll point them out as I find them. But this one, when he says it's going to sound strange.
I just thought you should know this. It's going to sound strange. Something's been found.
It reminds me when Frank tells Gordon, okay, this is going to sound strange. It's exactly like when Harry Truman told Cooper about the Bookhouse Boys.
Cooper, you're going to have to go along with me on this, even if it sounds a little weird.
I'm with you.
Twin Peaks is different. Long way from the world. You've noticed that.
Yes, I have.
And there's multiple times that kind of thing happens in this episode. Cole also had just had that vision of Laura. So all of these things sort of coming together for him are wonderful. When they're in South Dakota, you see that Hotel Mayfair. It's actually an apartment complex in California, and the Twin Peaks blog has a really cool write-up on that location. So the interior stuff, I think, was shot elsewhere, probably somewhere else in California, but those exterior shots of that cool looking, we keep seeing that Hotel Mayfair thing, is at one point was a hotel, but now it's an apartment complex, or at least it was at the time this article was written. It's very cool. I do love how far Cole has the earpiece from his own ear, because must have his hearing aid cranked pretty high, but it's so high that he has to hold the phone away from his ear. Wouldn't he just lower the... That's fine. That's all fine.
I was thinking, you're right. I actually noticed the same thing because we pay so much attention to the recipient of the call pulling it away that he's holding it from his mouth, which is good, and his ear. Doesn't make any sense.
It's so far.
I don't know
from
why.
his face.
Although He does have issues later in the episode getting the volume adjusted. Maybe it's sticky. Maybe he needs to take it into the shop and he can't turn it down. So I don't know.
It could be. Well, yeah, well, if you're hearing a window washer, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Yeah, you want to get that thing down. Speaking of get things down, Albert's going to tell Tammy about the first Blue Rose case, and she's going to have to digest that information. Diane is reluctant to share details about her last night with Cooper, but does share details about her half-sister, Janie E. A lot going on here.
Yeah, man. I almost want to jump to the end because did not see that coming, even though I should have because this is great. We get a bunch of exposition, which I'm totally fine. Albert giving exposition about the background of Blue Rose. Could listen to it all day. Fantastic. So case number 1, 1975. So we know in Olympia, Washington, we got both Gordon Cole and Philip Jeffries together. They're the ones that encountered the first Blue Rose case, the first thing that kind of kicked all of this off. Cool to know that the two of them had together. To this point, you don't really know what the kind of hierarchy was, what their history has been. But yeah, now we know that they were on this case together.
It does elevate Jeffries.
Yeah.
To a higher rank within this group. I mean, they talked about when they started the task force, Jeffries was sort of the first member on, and then they brought on Albert and Cooper and Chet Desmond. One of our listeners had asked was questioning some stuff about why would Albert be giving Philip Jeffries this information on the side.
I authorized Philip to give Cooper some information.
Cooper and Philip. What the hell? Philip Jeffries has been off the radar for years.
This was years ago, Gordon. He called me.
He did he?
And now for this scene, like, you learn, even though Gordon is the director, they were really equals at one point.
The suspect was Lois Duffy. I don't know if there's I can't see anything else in my notes. Am I missing anything? The name hasn't come up before, but I didn't see anything else. But we got Lois Duffy. There's a gunshot. They go in. 2 women. One's dying on the floor. She says, "I'm like the Blue Rose." She dies and disappears before their eyes. Gotta talk about that when they notice really that the other woman is also Lois Duffy. She did have a twin sister, so take that out, scratch it out of your notebook. That's not the answer. That's terrific. So totally makes me think of, was she wearing the ring? Did she get pulled into the lodge? Was she, as we see Tammy say later, the tulpa or doppelganger or the, that creation?
Right, different. Doppelganger different than a tulpa.
Okay, I don't know how this all connects. You can give us all of that when we get into it. And I know that was the word that you were waiting for.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to say tulpa for a long time.
It's been on the tip of your tongue and you've been trying to keep from saying it. So we got that out there now. Such a cool thing. But anyway, Lois getting shot and dying. In the previous episode, we just saw that fucker Ray get the ring, killed, dies, disappears. So same thing that happened, question mark. Is this all connected to the same thing? Don't really know. That's really cool.
Yep. Lois Duffy was shot in the abdomen, which I believe is where Cooper was shot.
I like Albert doing that, kind of not quizzing, not interrogating, but just kind of seeing if Tammy's keeping up or how she's dealing with this. And she's analytic mode right away, realizes, what is the question you should answer? Yeah. Or what's the question you should be asking? What's the significance of Blue Rose? Tammy, to this point, has been kind of presented as this hotshot superstar, top of her class, someone to watch. They have been watching forever. So to me, it's like Albert just seeing, like, is she cranking on all gears right now?
But yeah, I'd see Albert as, it's like they've just brought her into the Blue Rose. So it's like a teaching moment. It reminds me of the scene in like Silence of the Lambs.
He's cautious, precise, and he's never impulsive. He'll never stop.
Why not?
Got a real taste for it now, and he's getting better at his work.
Not bad, Starling. Questions?
And if you watch The Pit, they're always doing, why would you do this? Why would you do that? And so she's doing great. But yeah, it's I like how they brought her in. I like how she's holding up, but it is like, you're learning. This is all weird shit.
Socratic. It's the Socratic method.
Sure.
It's the teaching by asking questions. So it's perfect for Albert to be doing this as well. I love that. Yeah, tell me what you can to this point without spoiling. Like, how do these things kind of connect? 'Cause I have an idea.
We have a bunch of stuff without
Great.
spoiler free at this point since we've come this far.
Great.
All right, so yeah, Blue Rose doesn't occur in nature. It's a conjured woman. It's a tulpa. Tulpas are a concept from a Western spiritual movements or Western mysticism that's adopting Eastern ideas and then incorporating that into their own sort of thing. I found a research article by Natasha Miklis and Joseph Laycock called Tracking the Tulpa. So there's a quote from that. It's to give you some better concept of a tulpa. So since the 1970s, tulpas have been a feature of Western paranormal lore. In contemporary paranormal discourse, a tulpa is a being that begins in the imagination but acquires a tangible reality and sentience. Tulpas are created either through a deliberate act of individual will or unintentionally from the thoughts of numerous people, like viewers. The tulpa was first described by Alexandra David Niel in Magic and Mystery in Tibet in 1929 and is still regarded as a Tibetan concept. However, the idea of the tulpa is more indebted to theosophy than to Tibetan Buddhism. The tulpa, the concept of the tulpa, and we talked about doppelgangers. You go into the Black Lodge. Dan goes in the Black Lodge. I go into my Black Lodge. We're going to be confronted with our shadow self.
There, you will meet your own shadow self. My people call it the dweller on the threshold.
The dweller on the threshold.
That is a doppelganger. A tulpa is like Dougie Jones.
Dougie Jones.
It is a creation. Someone manufactured you. It is this idea thought. That is what a tulpa is. So Mr. C, doppelganger, Dougie, tulpa.
Perfect. This is exciting. Great.
There's so much great stuff in this scene. Like, there are so many phones in this room. There's a fax machine phone by the window. There's a phone next to Tammy. In front of Albert is a walkie-talkie, and then there's another walkie-talkie behind Albert. There's a little end table by the door. There's a phone there. There are two phones on Gordon's desk, and either an old school cell phone or a walkie-talkie. And there's also something glowing on that same counter that also may be a phone. So I love how many different forms of communication are in this room. Now, they don't live, this isn't their office. They're just landed here and they set up their base of operations, which includes more phones than you know what to do with.
And it's basically a server farm behind them. The number of screens, they're not doing anything except showing the FBI logo behind them. Fantastic.
Yeah.
You need more of those. It's great.
Yeah, security systems, all sorts of stuff.
So after all this, Cole comes in and it's coffee time. That's just great. Does he give a thumbs up too at the same time? Is it a thumbs up with the I love it.
Yeah, I believe so.
It's fantastic. Then Cole hands a package to Albert, later revealing that's the ring that was pulled out of the stomach of Major Briggs with the inscription of from Dougie Janie E. So we got that's coming up here. What do you make of the window washer? So as Cole starts, or as the conversation gets started, this window washer comes in and the scene is shot very frantic. The way that the camera moves and the back and forth and the quick editing and Cole has that the transcript says whimper as he's trying to get the volume down as it's just painful. But the window washer himself is moving so quickly. It feels like some sort of setup or like someone was doing something to disrupt with it. Like it just felt like something more significant going on here. I don't know. Am I reading into it? Because it just felt like...
No, I mean, I don't see anything more significant to it more than it's funny. However, if you had a reading of it, I would be, because it takes up a moment. It is washing a barrier between two worlds, essentially, the outside and the inside. It's crazy. But I just find it amusing. Like, I don't have a reading on it that I could impress you with.
It's too bad. I could have just made one up. No, I don't know. Because it doesn't actually derail. It's not as though he was going to say something important and then, forgot. Like, it continues on. It was just, it felt so beyond a joke. And because he looked so pained, in that moment. It felt really bad for him. But anyway, so we got that. Deputy Diane's there reporting for duty. The one thing they really want to know, one of the main things is, did Mr. C mention Briggs to Diane? She says, I don't want to talk about it. Maybe she even throws a fuck you in Cole in there as well. Probably, I would guess. And we do find out that whenever Albert pulls out the ring and reads the inscription from Dougie to Janie E., it all clicks for Diane.
The ring was inscribed, to Dougie with love, Janie E.
Oh my God.
What is it?
My sister's name is Jane, my half-sister. She's married to a man named Douglas Jones. But everybody calls him Dougie. Her nickname's Janie E.
Where do they live?
Last I heard, Las Vegas.
When did you last speak with her?
We're estranged. I hate her.
I hate her. I love the way she just says, I hate her. It's so fantastic. It's such a great moment.
So good. And that sweater is just aces. I love this sweater she's wearing. Her performance is magnificent.
The costume designers are fantastic. The wardrobe, what they're picking out for her, she looks great and everything. But anyways, it's a great scene. So, wow, shocker here that this is the connection here. The tulpa of Dougie was created specifically to be with Diane's half-sister, making this connection all tighter. Obviously, the doppelganger Cooper would know all this information, so to set it up that way, like almost putting a cuckoo in the nest, it's really cool. Did not see it coming. Mind-blowing. Eric, tell me more.
Did you notice the owl in the room?
No.
So there's a coffee machine in the room as well, and there's this little cute owl on top of it. It's
Didn't
like
notice.
right near it. So
That's right.
the owls are not what they seem. And either is Janie E. Because for my money, Janie E is a tulpa, and she's made from Diane, and that's why she's Diane's half-sister. Dougie is a tulpa made from Cooper. Janie E is a tulpa made from Diane, and they had a kid together.
Given everything that you said in the previous episode about Janie E kind of fantasy, getting everything that she wants, and Sonny Jim, this, getting that the jungle gyms and that entire scene feeling like a fantasy, that's an incredible reading. I love it.
Every kid needs a gym set.
Every kid needs a gym set. Every tulpa kid especially needs a gym set. That's incredible.
When she says it's my half-sister, yeah, she's a tulpa.
All right.
For my money, for my
facts proven.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
They purposely took a picture off the wall.
Oh yeah.
So where Diane's sitting, you could see, like, it looks like there was a picture there, and then there's like one shot where you can see it really well on the floor. I tried to like take a photo of it and search it. I could not find it. It may just be, whatever random art that was in the room, but it's interesting they took it off.
Yeah, it draws attention to itself because you can see the nail still in the wall and like the marks from the picture hanging there. So I paid attention to that as well. But when they pull back, you can see that's on the ground. There's two more paintings up higher. It's just that the chair could fit into. We don't ever actually see how big this room is, but presumably it's pretty small. So they're just trying to get space. But they just look like hotel art, like really not anything special.
It did. I don't know. But and it's also could be literally, hey, it keeps reflecting the light back. Could you just put the thing on the ground, and
Absolutely.
then 10 years from now, some idiot's going to be like, and then the picture is of two trees. All right. So after they get that information, and we've now connected this wonderful string from Diane all the way over to Las Vegas to Janie E. and someone named Douglas Jones, Gordon's going to pick up the phone, and he's going to call the Las Vegas FBI field office and demand that they find him, this Douglas Jones. And then he's going to tell the gang about his dream.
Fantastic. Of all the loud phone gags, this one's the best because we get a 2-for-1. Give me the character name and the actors, because the one is definitely very familiar.
Randall Headley, who is the guy that answers the phone. He's played by Jay Ferguson, who is Stan Rizzo in Mad Men. So that's how I know him from Mad Men.
I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about another writer. Are you suddenly not competitive? The chick who races people to the toilet?
I'm going to bring him in.
Stick to mediocre. You'll sleep better.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. I know him from Mad Men, but he's
Definitely
been in
known
a
from
lot of
Mad Men
stuff.
as well. I think I've seen him in other sort of sitcom sort of work, but he's definitely been around. Yeah, I think he was in something with Martha Plimpton, a sitcom that she did. But anyway, great gag. The two of them, one with the headset has to pull it off, the other with the phone. Gordon's shouting so loud the phone is even like crackling and breaking up. Fantastic. They have to look now to figure out which Douglas Jones there's 23 of them in the greater Las Vegas metro area.
There's 23 Douglas Joneses in the greater metro area.
How are we gonna find the right one?
Wilson, how many times have I told you? This is what we do in the FBI!
So that Wilson says, how are we going to find the right one? Wilson, how many times have I told you? It's really funny. The problem is, Cole gave them the least amount of information possible. He could have even said, Douglas Jones, married to a Jane. That would have made things a lot easier. Go from 23, probably cut that in half. Right
How
off
many
the top.
times have I told you, Dan? This is what they do in the FBI.
But do they have to do it the hard way around? Come on, Gordon. That would have been a lot easier. But it's a great little scene. That purely played for comedy. It was super fun.
And the other guy, Wilson, he's played by Owen Davies. Owen. But it's Owain. Owen Rise Davis. I love how nervous they are that Cole is calling. So they know Cole. This is a very top guy that's calling, and they're completely kind of panicked about, like, oh my God, it's him. And you just get the impression that Randall Headley really looks up to Gordon Cole as well, and he wants to do right by him, and he wants to impress him, and he wants to get this right. And the fact that there are 23 Douglas Jones is like 23
chromosomes,
gene pairs.
I think you're right. Gene pairs. I think it's gene pairs. Yeah, you get 46 total. And it is a really good point. He is obviously very excited, he's very excited he's talking to Gordon Cole because he stands up to talk to him on the phone.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be standing, but he's like so excited, standing like straight up, talking to him, and he needs to get to the computer. Now we get into this bit, which is so much fun. We get the combination of seeing the dream that Gordon had, as well as bits and pieces of Fire Walk With Me all put together. It's fantastic. So he's got another Monica Bellucci dream. How many has he had? Because Albert's response of, oh boy, I can't tell if it's like this again, sort of, oh boy, or, oh, this is significant. Maybe it's both. Who knows?
He may be constantly telling him Monica Bellucci dreams that are not something you want to talk about.
So we get into the dream. The way that Lynch is playing this, he's kind of like sitting forward and have this kind of close look, tight, we have this tight close up on his face as he's thinking about it. You can see him thinking through the dream. I just love the way he plays this because it's as though he's recollecting it at that time and putting pieces together, which kind of later he does actually remember things he hadn't from the past. So it's really cool to see him playing it this way through the entire thing. He says, he can't see Cooper's face, but he's there at a cafe. Monica Bellucci shows up. She brought some friends. But really you only see the man once. In the rest of the scenes, it's her and the woman at the table.
Yep, and she's Melita Toscan de Plantier. I know I'm getting your name wrong. I'm sorry, but she is a friend of Lynch's, and I'm not sure who the man is. I don't think he's credited. Could have been her husband at the time, but apparently even where they're shooting this is near one of his art galleries. It's also near an actual cafe that's supposed to be pretty good. So,
oh, that's cool.
If you want to go on Google Maps, and you can go right there and look down the street.
Have a coffee while you're looking at your computer screen and pretend you're there. She says the ancient phrase,
We're like the dreamer. Dreams, then lives inside the dream.
We are like the dreamer who dreams and then lives inside the dream. I told her I understood. And then she said,
But who is the dreamer?
But who is the dreamer, Eric? Who is the dreamer that whose dream we're living inside? Great. So now we have this. And for me, it was exciting in some way. I don't know, to pull this from Fire Walk With Me into this. Now we get the Jeffries scene coming into the FBI. He says, Gordon says that they're looking behind him, trying to get his attention. He turns around, he sees his younger self. It was really fun to see the two of them side by side almost, or back to back in the scenes. Then we get Jeffries coming in, and that moment of Jeffries pointing at Cooper is, now who do you think this is here? Which has always stood out, especially as we're watching The Return. Like, how did this work in terms of the script? Like, that was implanted so long ago. And to take that piece and then use that as a main central plot point throughout this entire series is incredible. I know a bunch of pieces kind of come up that way, but like that moment felt so interesting.
In the context of Fire Walk with Me, it was, do you know who this is? It's like him realizing that it's the doppelganger that happens at the end of episode 29. So it's still referencing the same character in The Return as it did in Fire Walk with Me.
Yes, absolutely. And it just takes on so much significance here, to the point that we get to see it again, re-experience it in this moment as well. I like how Cole says the day that Jeffries appeared and didn't appear. So bringing in that moment in the hallway was really great. He was never here was fantastic. And Cole, like I said, he hadn't quite remembered that, and now this is coming to him. And it seems like Albert also didn't remember. He says, "I'm beginning to remember it," as though the memory is somehow coming to him, unlocking maybe, or implanting, or I don't know. But like, just the fact that this recollection is now coming to both of them is really cool. That significance is really paying off here.
Right. And we get a little bit more of that in this episode too. When you think about later, when we go Jack Rabbits, where I don't remember what just happened. How did this happen? And they don't remember. So it's like parts of your memory come and go.
Yeah, that's why I definitely want to point to it here. So when we come back to that later, it just feels like that is not just him. Oh yeah, that thing I forgot about. It's like, oh, this is not a memory I even realized I ever had. Is really cool.
But has that happened to you? Because it happens to me often with dreams, where you have a dream and you try to remember it and you can, or you remember parts of it. And then you get like some section of the dream then occurs to you like, oh my God, and then this happened. And you try to tell someone they're not interested at all.
No one's ever interested in that.
It's the most exciting thing that you've ever thought of. That happens often.
That has happened to me too. What's crazier is I will have a dream, and in the dream remember a previous dream.
So while you're dreaming, you're remembering a dream. Okay.
Another piece. Like, I've done this before, but it's not to the point where I'm like lucid and actually waking up me up to like lucid dream, but I'm able to be like, oh, this was the same dream again. Anyway, cool to put all these things together. I'm sure there's a ton in here. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. So I said this was Hotel Renoir and the Crepier Plougastel in Paris. So man, if I ever go to Paris, I'm going to want to eat here.
Yeah.
But I had read that somewhere that I think this was near a gallery that had been showing Lynch's art, maybe even when they shot this, which is very cool. Now, Cooper is there, but his face is obscured, just like we're seeing Cooper, but we haven't seen Cooper. And he can't see the real Cooper at this point. They have coffee. Monica Bellucci is real. We don't often get real people in the world of Twin Peaks. We've gotten Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Because they named Wally Brando after Marlon Brando. It happens. It's certainly not that it doesn't happen, and maybe you can't read too much into it, but of course I'm probably going to read a little bit into it. The fact that she is a real person in this dream connected to this world. She also, I don't know if you noticed, when she holds her hands, her left finger, the spiritual mound, is extended out, whereas the other ones aren't. So you can see she's got the one finger. It looks like it is the right finger, the backwards very finger that's out, which is very interesting. She invites her friends over, and then they all sit and they have coffee, and you imagine around the dinner table, the conversation is probably lively at that point. The ancient phrase, right? Yeah, we are like the dreamer who dreams and then lives inside the dream. 2 episodes ago or whatever, I had talked about Justin Theroux when they were doing the Mulholland Drive screening, talked about a poem that David Lynch had wrote that has that line in it. This is a concept that he has been doing forever. You can go back to Dune and you can see this stuff in this idea of living inside a dream. There's a great little interview, it's like an hour plus, that I'll put the link into, that he did with David Stratton for Australia's Queensland Art Gallery of Modern Art. And the question came up.
And then you made a feature film spin-off. There's a line in Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me, we live inside a dream.
We live inside a dream.
Yeah, that's a very Lynchian...
No, it's sort of the truth. It's sort of the truth. And one day we wake up and realize that it was a dream, and we realize who we truly are. It's a glorious day when that happens.
So the sleeper must awaken, like the idea of being asleep in a dream world that you've created and existing in that dream world is something that is a recurring theme through a lot of his work, and certainly here. But the question is, who is the dreamer? Is it Lynch and Frost? That, they literally dreamed up this world, and both of them inserted themselves into this world.
Mm-hmm.
We have a character of Gordon Cole who's living inside his own dream at this moment. We certainly got the characters that exist in the dream world that Cooper went into that live inside of his dream. But here we have the creators of the show existing in the world of which they created themselves. So in terms of tulpas, Twin Peaks is in and of itself a tulpa that was thought up from the ocean of pure consciousness, these ideas that have now inserted themselves and created this world. All of us, we are the dreamer. I am the dreamer that is connecting with this world, outside of this world, watching people live inside the world. So the answer to that question could be whatever you want it to be.
Sure.
But for me, it's me as the dreamer. It is certainly the creators of the show, and I feel that I've been talking a lot about going inside and outside of the show, but this scene in particular very much supports it to myself. Now, in terms of the actual story, the thing that is so wonderful about this is when she tells Gordon to turn, and he turns and sees himself, and he sees himself on February 16th, which, if you remember, when we did the missing pages came up, I did that whole thing about how does the time work and how does Laura write this thing in their diary, because there's two Lauras in the dream, and that is this day.
Oh, wow.
Gordon turns and sees himself the same way that Laura, dreaming on February 17th, turned and saw Laura dreaming on February 16th.
Right.
Gordon looks back, he sees himself on February 16th. It's the same time when Cooper says he talks about that dream. And it's just, it's wonderful.
So that moment has incredible significance in this, way that you're interpreting how time works. This is kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like in Stephen King, like we have like a pivot point or something. This is important in all these different directions.
Absolutely. And not only was when Cooper says I was worried about this dream I told you about February 16th, it's connected to, in my world, to the bit about Laura and seeing herself and getting the message from Annie, but also to this moment now in this dream, like all these characters that are in dreams, and they're all connected to February 16th, to that one moment, the day that Philip Jeffries comes in, the day that he's there and not there. It's all connected to that one piece of time. It's just beautiful, beautiful. And again, you get that, we talked about Philip warning him that the Cooper you see now is not the Cooper. It's the doppelganger, and it's just Philip moving through time that he's not really sure which time it is at that moment. But man, him turning and looking and seeing himself, and Laura turning and looking and seeing herself sleeping, and it's all on February 16th. This is the day I told you about, because it's the Gordon in the future, Gordon in the past, Laura in the future, Laura in the past. God damn it. It's a wonderful world. I could live in this world forever. But people have many ideas about who the dreamer is. I've heard people talk about how they think it's Laura's the dreamer or Cooper is the dreamer and all of these. And you can prove it, and they have many things. But for me, in this instance, seeing literally David Lynch imagining this world and then living inside the world is no different than whatever world I'm in, and whatever is me and Dan right now. This is also a dream world, and I hope to one day awake to what the real me is, and wherever that is. So yes,
I love the way that you just so succinctly put it, of David Lynch creating this world and living inside it. I just the other night watched the documentary, was The Art Life.
was great.
Great. And towards the end, as he gets into his film career beginning, and he's at he has that grant and he's living at that mansion and making Eraserhead. And he talks about how he constructs that in the stables, he constructs all the set and he can look out the windows and he can imagine what's going on out there. He can imagine the people and the weather and every moment of it. He really was, and he said he would just sit there and enjoy the environment.
I just love being in that mood. Sometimes I would sit in the sets at night. I'd be working or something and I could imagine a whole world outside. It doesn't exist, but it really would be such a world.
So he got to do that as he was creating his first, the film that becomes first known for. And then in this, epic masterpiece where he has been able to put himself and actually be in this world is created. So he's kind of been doing this forever of trying to create these worlds and inhabit them. And this is kind of the full realization of that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Hello, friends. We have reached the middle of our episode here, discussing the wonders and beauty of Twin Peaks: The Return. And of course, that's the time when the clock has struck and we curl up with our favorite bowl of warm garmonbozia to talk about the wonderful people in our Black Lodge. Dan, talking about Chuck Suffle, talking about Gregory Flanagan, I'm talking about Dawn Adamo, banjo track, and by the way, Dawn Adamo probably walking her dog, or just walking with these in the headphones, and she's probably going, yes, House of Thor, because we have the same father. I'm talking about banjo track. I'm talking about Eric Knopp. I'm talking about Charlie Tapper, Jake Jagello, Matthew Fuller, David Melito, Daryl Dyson. Fantastic stories. Knocking out over on the Patreon. I think they're in the public chat and not a private thing. New Marlon Brando telling me all these great stories. Actually it was on the comment on the Bob Engels interview. Really good story. So if you're not hanging out if you're a member of the Patreon, you're not hanging out in the Patreon, you have to go hang out in the Patreon. You're going to get these great Cloris Leachman stories from Daryl Dyson. Dana Gould, who you should back his Indiegogo campaign. Jeff and Henrique. Dan, there's more.
We got so many more. We got concluding remarks. Brian Johnson, Meerkats, Raga Raven, Evan Fitz, Hazel Haywood, Ivan, William Schaefer, Jordan Carver, Matt W., Nick Webb, Harvey Woodlawn, Kaylin Best Lawrence, he who is Clem Fandango, a.k.a. Luke P., and also Arthur Hill. Welcome aboard, Arthur Hill.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you to everyone that supports the show on all tiers and people that share the link. And also, everybody, when you sign up, sometimes people send me little notes. I read all of them. And when I get one about people that are depressed or they're in a bad spot and they find the show and it makes them feel good, it makes me feel good. Because I started the show when I was in a bad spot. And it's helped me immensely, and I hope it's helped you. And I'm not getting that emotional. My boy, I need a
Guys,
drink.
he is crying. He is pulling out handkerchiefs.
Oh, I almost will cry if I start thinking about it. It is touching because it did come from a sad place. I hang out in Sad Town often, friends. And when I see other people and it's made your life better, it's made my life better. So yeah, let's get to it. All right, so Dan, let's go get lunch. In Twin Peaks, Bobby is going to return with his lunch order, and Chad gets arrested.
About friggin' time. So we're in the conference room. Andy's lining up the 4 metal boxes. I guess he's setting up lunch boxes for them. They're heading off to the woods because they all have their backpacks. Yeah. They're all ready to go. So Andy's packing their lunch. We got 4 sandwich orders. We got our turkey with cheese, ham and cheese, roast beef and cheese, which is just great.
Who got the cheese and cheese? I would have got the cheese and cheese. Me and Andy.
I don't know why it was so weird. You just melt it and it's a grilled cheese. That's fine. Good for you, Andy. I want to know what the toppings are on there. So we got that. Chad comes in. You can see, watching as Frank pulls the handcuffs out as he's pulling Chad into the room, and they're ready to go, pulling the gun on him. Bobby grabs the gun and throws it into his back behind himself. So he's, Chad, man, you're making a big mistake. I am so happy for this guy to go down. And the fact that they have been watching it for months gives me
restores
my faith.
It explains why they were letting this fly for as long as they have.
Seriously, because it was the one thing. It's like, come on, their police work can't be that good if they're not onto this guy. But thank goodness they got him. So locking him way down in the basement. Fantastic.
I love Bobby's shut up that he yells after he's the second time Chad's like, you're making a big mistake.
Take his badge too and lock him up. Making a big mistake. Shut up.
But the reason why, I don't know if you have anything else
Nope.
on this. Okay. The reason why I put this scene in is because I told you this episode keeps calling back to these wonderful Twin Peaks things. And one of my favorite lines from Twin Peaks is,
fellas, let's pack a lunch. We're taking a walk in the woods.
and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're packing a lunch and we're taking a walk in the woods. That's a Mark Frost line. It was from episode 5. And literally we're watching it happen here. And I love that they're calling back to that. So that's what we're going to do. Andy, Hawk, and Frank and Bobby head to Jack Rabbit's palace. They put some dirt in their pocket, as you do, and they continue to follow the Major's instructions.
Before we get into that, there's just the interstitial that's between the previous scene and this one is a shot over Twin Peaks, and we have the woods. We've seen this shot basically repeated from the beginning through the titles, but it is the woods surrounded in clouds. The fog and clouds are among the trees. That is an inversion layer. That's what I think of when I think of an inversion layer. You know, when I go skiing in Vermont, when you have a blue, sunny day, the sky is blue, but the clouds are down in the valleys. That's an inversion layer. And in this case, it gets even more obscured as the camera, because we stay on this kind of interstitial for a little bit, the camera moves, and the clouds keep getting more and more thick, obscuring it in front of the camera lens. So it just makes me think about that and the version layer that Candy talks about in Vegas as well.
What were you talking about to him out there on the floor?
Oh, that we're in the version layer? That it's going to be hot and smoggy tomorrow. And I told him that we are so lucky to have air conditioning cooling our casino.
So I just want to point that out. Like, are they in some sort of upside down? It's a literal, like, up is down sort of situation here, which was pretty cool. And things are becoming less and less clear, getting more obscured as we're going through this. That's all. But we can dive into taking a walk in the woods. The fellas are in the police vehicle and come to the side of the road, and they make that quick shot of the power lines running through the woods. I like, the static crackle of the power lines in the woods. In makes me think of Ghost Woods as well. But like, no matter where you are, you're still surrounded by this. You got the power line going right through that.
Right. And we got that with Richard Horn as well. When he was hiding the truck, you saw the electric lines in the woods. It's not really there. It's there because they're there.
In the reflection, we saw that. Yep. So that's just that connection everywhere. Just playing it because it obviously comes back again later in this episode. Bobby says this used to be the road where we're walking. My dad's listening station was right up there. Nothing left of it now. So just love getting a sense of where the listening post alpha was, and Bobby as a kid getting to go inside. He all remembers there was just a lot of machines, but doesn't really remember much about it. But he really, like, this whole scene of him talking about the time he spent with his dad really drives home what his mother was saying about how far he's come. Because we see Bobby, previously as a teenager and beyond, just being the worst to his parents. Robert put out that cigarette and he, lights it up and walks away, like all that sort of thing. And here he just has these fond memories of his father. He said, he would take me here though. And just that smile on his face is makes me so happy to see. Jack Rabbit's palace itself is broken down. Huge tree stump is really cool. It is a perfect idea of like what this ought to be. So I'm so glad to see this representation of what Jack Rabbit's palace is. And Andy, good old Andy, does remember to get the soil and put it in their pocket. And as we see later, I love that it's literal. It'll literally grounds them back to the spot again. I think that's the thing that brought them back there, which is very cool. And Andy taking on so much significance in this episode, and we'll see in just a minute. He's the one that remembers you got to do this. I like the little joke Frank has as well. Is like, is this just one of your dad's? What is it where he says like
tall tales?
Tall tales, right? Maybe that's Frank's experience of Briggs, but I would say a lot of what Briggs was saying might have sounded crazy, but was actually real. So whether it was a tall tale or he was telling you the truth, I guess you wouldn't really know.
Well, tall tales is a great turn of phrase, as we are near a portal to a giant. So it's literally a tall tale. But also the idea of story making, and this is an area of wild stories. So Jackrabbit's Palace, in my head, this tree trunk is the same tree that the piece of the trunk is where Laura's body is found. If you remember where Laura's body is discovered, in my head, this is the base of that tree, and that at one point it was attached. Is that the case? I don't know. It is for me, and so that's what we're going to go with. Bobby talking about his dad taking him to the woods and going to work. Man, this thing hit so close to home for me. You know, my dad would take me in the woods for hours and hours, and we'd make up these crazy stories and all these things. And he maybe took me to his work once or twice, tops. And as I said, he worked in security intelligence and in counterintelligence. It was all top secret. What I remember is there was like a keypad on the door, and this giant metal door would slide open, and then you would go in. Now, inside, like Bobby is like, I only remember machines. All I remember is just like papers and maybe some computer stuff. It was very underwhelming. Like, you had the whole build up, and you put the thing in, you're like, oh my God, my dad's James Bond. And then you go in, and it's just like a bunch of sad looking dudes in military uniforms looking at paperwork or whatever. But oh God, I mean, this was me. And you talk about like Bobby before Laura and Bobby after Laura. And if you take The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, and you can see in a way that she corrupted him and what became of Bobby after. But I would even lift that from it, because I certainly lived a life not unlike Bobby when I was old. And kids rebel, and they go through things, and they have reasons for doing whatever they're going to do. So yeah, I've talked about it. I have a lot of connection to Bobby. Nothing more than this scene. This scene was like, holy shit, this could have been a dream that I'm having. And I'm not sure if I'm going to wake up and we're all going to go away, but it could happen. You talked about the soil. And that is it's part of folklore and stuff like that as a way of grounding. It's your connection to the earth, because we're going to go to this portal and you get sucked up, and this is the only thing that can hold you down. But I also think of it a little bit like dirt from Laura's grave, as it's near this tree that connected to her body being discovered. The last part I understand lives only in my head, but I like to think of it a little bit like that too. It's something that it's something of the earth, something of humanity, as we go into this spiritual world. All right, so we're going to walk 253 yards away. They're going to discover Nato naked and alone near a puddle of gold. And at 2:53, a portal opens, and Andy is taken to see the fireman, where he's made to watch a short film, have his mind expanded, and return to his friends a changed man.
Tune in, turn on, drop out, and he gets the full experience. So as the guys are walking through the woods together, just all these shots at different levels to within the forest, but the mist through all the trees was just spectacular filmmaking. It looked gorgeous, so I didn't want to skip past that too much. But we come around a bend, and there's the low-lying fog on the ground, and we do see Nato laying there with her back to us, and we see what looks like to me one sycamore tree around the pool, right behind it. Looks like a sycamore tree to me. It has white bark, and there's no leaves on it at all. But anyway, like Glastonbury Grove, we have that circle with the ooze inside, but instead of it being the black kind of burnt motor oil sort of thing, it is golden cream colored, but otherwise is very similar to that same sort of portal in Glastonbury Grove. Very cool to see.
I was going to ask you a question about the puddles, because this certainly supports people's theory that the fireman's home is the White Lodge, right? So you have a circle of trees, and you have a black puddle that goes to the Black Lodge, and there's people that think that the black and white place is the White Lodge. I have already said I don't believe that that's the case. I was just curious where you land on that.
I mean, I could definitely take that reading. I can see where people are coming from. It feels pretty well supported, but nothing's definitive. So whatever works for you and makes things kind of feel right.
No, I mean you.
Yeah. I don't have one. That's why I said I don't have a reading.
Okay.
I don't have a reading for it. So it doesn't really. Yeah, I could definitely, be persuaded to that.
I was just curious.
But again, like we've seen, like we saw the portal in out in South Dakota, and there was no sort of, the portal isn't consistent with what we've seen with Glastonbury Grove. Previously, we saw like the curtains appear and you kind of walk through it. And then in Vegas, there was a portal in the sky, but not that we saw. Was there any puddle there to do this? And then we hear the story that Freddie tells. It was a vortex up on top of some boxes. So like, I don't know how these things really connect, but.
Well, that's why I think that they're different. Like the vortexes are different than these puddle portal things.
Maybe these two things kind of overlapped in this case. But yeah, I guess totally possible. All right. So 2:53 begins. The electricity starts. The portal opens. It's just like Cole and Buckhorn, like Andy is completely drawn to it. It is different though, because you really pointed out how the camera effects, talking about how it almost felt like an in-camera effect of another lens on top of that, and the way that felt very juddery, and the way that Cole was like literally reaching out to it, getting sucked in. This feels a little bit different to me. So I wonder if they were the same portal, a portal in a different place, or some other thing that's a little bit different. But Andy almost feels called to it, which makes sense for what we see in just a moment. What I really love about this too is Andy's there one moment and just gone the next. Just such a simple, like there's no camera trick, there's no special effect. It is just the simplest, like oldest trick ever of just like 1 second move, take another frame, and he's gone. I love when they do stuff like that. But then we get him with the fireman, wherever that happens to be, but with the fireman in the black and white world. And I love that there's that cut of him going backwards. It's just like these 4 static shots of him like boom, 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 falling into the chair and looking around. I thought it was so effective. Again, really simple things done artfully is so effective for me. And I don't know how I blocked this out of my memory. I never would have called Andy meeting the fireman from the beginning. This is the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah, it happens. It's so funny. It's so funny to see him sitting there.
It's the best. All in retrospect, sure, this really does work, but it is the craziest thing to see this happening. So he's sitting there, and he's holding some sort of device. To me, it looks like either like a huge pine cone or like a big acorn. And out of the top of it, the stem is where the smoke is going out of or coming back into as he's going to watch this art film on the ceiling. So cool. So we get to see all the moments that have led up till now. New Mexico, the power lines, the way the power lines, we follow them, and it fades into color of the girl running through the courtyard on the day that Laura's murder is discovered. We get Laura and the angels together. I love that composition of that shot put together is just beautiful. And then Cooper and Mr. C in the red curtain in the red room, and the way that they kind of separate was so friggin' awesome. I love that. I want that shot like framed. The two of them side by side is really cool. So in this experimental film that we're watching, there's a bunch of stuff that we have seen before, but there's a bunch of new things. There's a phone call on line 1 blinking. Looks like we're at the sheriff's station. So I'm not sure we'll find out about that later, I hope. Andy taking Lucy someplace. Looks again like they're in the sheriff's station maybe, but he's kind of moving her someplace and then walks away and leaves her there. And she just has this kind of look of, I don't know, on the verge of astonishment. I don't know what it is yet. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's like we're seeing a timeline.
Yeah.
So we're seeing from the very beginning up until now, and then we're seeing things that haven't happened yet.
It's so cool. We see the electrical pole with the 6 on it again. It goes from black and white into color, but we get that repetition of that power pole and the number 6. And then we get all the true men coming back together. And again, I love this like overlaid series of them kind of moving through time and their pieces coming back together back in the spot so that where they were grounded. And Andy coming back around the corner there carrying NATO wrapped in his jacket, and he is all business. It feels like something really has changed in him, and I cannot
it's like
wait
flowers
to see.
For Algernon.
That's a really perfect way, because I mentioned this at the beginning of the return, how it feels like they've turned Andy into a caricature of himself. Like they've really heightened these qualities he's had. And when I go back and like look at the first and second seasons and pulling clips together and thinking about that, it's just, this feels so exaggerated. I'm really interested to see what happens with him now that he's kind of snapped into this mode of like, here's some information. People are trying to kill her. They can't find out about her. We got to keep her safe.
Get her safe.
Awesome. Just to get him being like the guy in charge now is very cool because you get that total juxtaposition of the extremes of Andy. So I'm sure I missed like 1,000 things. So let's go back through it and tell me what you saw.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I talked about when this portal opens, and Andy is, unlike Cole, who was, shaking and then had to be held back. It is like he is being purposely snatched up by the firemen for a purpose. He's being given a purpose. And the fireman's done this a few times, or the giant. The giant, I still think they're two different people, but from the same race, but you could argue they're the same person. A giant used Cooper in order to do the events of season 2. We're going to find out about Freddy later. The giant is using Freddy. The giant here is using Andy to do a task. So the giant or these firemen will reach out to good humans or people with some kind of goodness in them to do a task. I love the panic in Frank's voice.
It's 2:53, fellas.
And you really feel the weight of it, and it's scary. It's a scary moment. And then that other portal, and the effects of the other portal are just fantastic. And of all the people, as you're saying, it's Andy.
It's great.
And just seeing Andy there in the firemen's in the fortress in the Sea of Pure Consciousness, where I believe ideas and stuff come from. We officially get the name Fireman. So it had been 7 question marks in the credits, and now it is Fireman. So we can officially call him that. The object is very cool. You talked about it being like an acorn. I don't know how to describe it. It's just such an interesting little thing that I imagine David Lynch probably designed. And the reverse smoke coming out of it and going upward as Andy gets that movie. And so first thing he sees is the experiment, which for me, knowledge, the knowing, he's about to know a bunch of shit. And the first thing he's going to see is this Judy experiment. And then it's the place above the convenience store. And then we're going to say, okay, these are the things. How do they travel? They travel through electricity. So we're going to see power lines. And then we see Laura's death and the effect of Laura's death, because we see that shot from the pilot of the little girl, young woman running across the courtyard screaming, and how that is the birth of the show that we're happen to be watching right now. And then he sees Laura with 2 angels, which is interesting. One is a reflection of the other with the red curtain behind her, which is kind of representative of the ending of Fire Walk With Me. But in Fire Walk With Me, there's only 1 angel, not 2 angels. So it's just something to, I guess, to write in your diary. Maybe we can have something to do with that at a future point. He sees NATO just as he found her in the woods. So that's our current, we've caught up to the now of things. You talked about the phone call already. I can't talk too much about it. It appears that it is a future event, something that we'll see again. Interesting, the use of color from like black and white and then getting into color when we start talking about like the number 6 pole from the Fat Trout Trailer Park. And the smoke recessing back into the device is also such a cool effect. And Andy blinking out is wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. I want to talk about Andy's reaction to all this, because as we are watching the things that we've seen and the news stuff that's being projected on the ceiling that he's watching, it keeps cutting back to his face, and his reactions are so interesting. I'm not sure, like, it feels like a bunch of emotions are going across his face as we're seeing it. Like, he is becoming enlightened, but he is also learning all these things. So I just want to call it, like, there is a lot of this is so stupid. Just a lot of acting going on there. He's doing a lot with very subtle expressions to see, like, it almost feels like it's painful, but it's also exhilarating, and he's also learning all this. So, like, is this the moment that he's changing and growing? We're watching that right in front of us.
But it's like a Clockwork Orange moment when he's got little things holding his eyes open. Will Andy stay enlightened? Only time will tell. So,
oh no, I hope it is.
I don't know what to tell you. So Truman and Hawk can't remember, not unlike Gordon and Albert, who lost their memories of Philip Jeffries. There is an amazing behind the scenes thing from Man with the Gray Elevated Hair. When you watch Lynch make the gold puddle. It's one of the best scenes. He's looking for this stuff called Fix-All.
They said they only had tiny little boxes of Fix-All, so they got this.
Is that the same? Fuck! Is that the same?
Plaster of Paris.
Plaster of Paris bullshit! Okay, mix it up. Mix it on the thin side first, Phil. And then bring the bucket with the liquid stuff up here.
Yes, sir.
And the crew is going out, like, he's like, I want this stuff called Fix-All to make this thing. The crew goes out and they can only find like tiny bottles of it. And so what they bring back instead is plaster of Paris. And he's so pissed. Plaster of fucking Paris. He does not want plaster of Paris. But given that this scene follows the Monica Bellucci dream, which takes place in Paris, I believe plaster of Paris was exactly what it needed to be.
That stuff reminds me, just because it's recency bias. And I just watched him make art in that documentary, but it reminds me of that stuff where he's like pulling. It almost looks. It's so Cronenberg, like body horror flesh, as he's pulling the painting that he's making in the Art Life film. I wonder if it's the same stuff, like, because he was, like you're saying, he was so specific. You can get it in 20-pound bag or whatever. Like This is the stuff he works with all the time as his medium. It's like, no, I know exactly what you can get.
And speaking of boosts, let's boost NATO up to a comfortable cot in the sheriff's station over in Twin Peaks, because Dan, Andy, and Lucy are going to take NATO there for her protection while Chad is heckled by a drunk.
Yeah. So Andy says they gotta protect NATO. They gotta keep her safe. They put her in the same place as Chad. This just strikes me as not great. I'm a little worried.
He's not going to get out, though.
Someone's going to get to him. I don't know what's going to happen. Just having Chad around is a bummer anyway, and NATO's been through a lot, so I feel real bad for her. This is such a crazy scene. The drunk is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. The gash on his face that's bandaged up with a string tied around his head holding it in place, and it's still dripping and oozing. It is so friggin' disgusting, and also absurdly funny at the same time. Him mimicking NATO's speech as she's doing the chittering sound, kind of sounds that she's making, so he's kind of aping them back. It almost sounds like a monkey house in there. And then Chad starts doing it as well, and then he just it's a nut house. It's really, really crazy making. But I don't feel bad for Chad, so screw him. I got a real big question. Maybe this kind of unlocks the entire thing for me. What happened the night the dog got lost in the sheriff's station?
I think that's where Wally came from. I believe that the dog getting lost, I think that is when they conceived Wally. So they were like, you remember what happens, which explains that the pregnant Lucy from the original series was in fact a gas bubble that she had mentioned all the way back when they were doing the chocolate bunnies together. So she wasn't actually
She had a pregnancy test because he's
No, that was for his sperm. Yeah, that was for his sperm. Oh, because he thought he couldn't get her pregnant, which is why he thought it was Dick. But then he realized he could. So that's my take from that scene, because the dates never lined up anyway for
all right.
Wally.
Well, there you go. I was just
Not that
poking fun, but you're right. That actually does make sense. And she had left her pajamas there because of that. I don't know. Whatever. They were.
Speaking of callbacks, so we got another callback to part 4. We heard about the DUI, a guy with a DUI, and we heard about 2 drunks all the way back in part 4. Brings back some memories.
What's going on tonight?
Kind of quiet. A domestic, 2 D&Ds and a DUI.
I booked that one. Dude blew a .250. Could not even find his nose, let alone touch it.
And here's one of the drunks now. I mentioned we would eventually see the drunk in the cell, and it took this long, but we got there. So we got one of them.
How long has he been in there?
Well, it hasn't been that long, right? I mean, if you think about, it's only been a couple of days, I think.
And he's still drunk? They just keep giving him booze.
He's pretty drunk. He's pretty lit up. I mean, he could be on Sparkle. Yeah, he could be mixing Sparkle, but he is very much like a monkey mimicking. Yeah. You think of the monkey in Fire Walk with Me. This says Judy. You think of, is there something more to the drunk? Is he just crazy? He is like a little mischievous character. All of this is another callback to the original show. You think of Bobby in the jail cell barking in the pilot. So many little scenes like that in this episode that call back.
Yeah, I got nothing else for this scene.
Okay, so then let's go to the Great Northern, where James and Freddie will work as hotel security and talk about women and Freddie's strange past.
Yeah. So finally we get to meet Freddie. We've seen him before, but really didn't get a chance to really get to know him. So now we do. We get his whole story. I do like the bit of Freddie asking James who's playing at the Roadhouse tonight after having seen him the previous night, and he just wants to go back and see Renee, who was so moved by James' hit song. It's James' birthday. Happy birthday, Jimmy. Very nice to see. Now this whole thing with Freddie, I have questions, and I don't know if they get answered or if they can get answered now or if there's other things later, but his accent is so over the top as to be unreal. It feels like it is intentionally over the top, but it feels like it's almost calling attention to itself. He's using Cockney rhyming slang. No one really does that. He calls it London town. No one really does that. It's like a character from a story. He's not a real, to me, at this point, feels like he's not even a real person. And the way that we can go through the what he tells Jimmy about how he got the green glove on his hand and how he's able to break walnuts with a crush like a strength of a pile driver. It is such a deus ex machina. Like, this is a thing that's needed to happen. The way that he describes the interaction he had with the fireman doesn't track with any of the other experiences we've seen with the fireman to some extent, or it just feels like.
How do you mean?
We'll go bit by bit through here. But I'm just laying the groundwork for why I feel very uneasy about Freddie overall.
Can I tell you one behind the scenes thing
Yes.
about Freddie that may or may not help you?
Sure.
Maybe it'll ruin it. Maybe I'm just.
That's fine. I don't want
to
to come off like a dum-dum if it helps.
Am I throwing up some Judy? No. It's just that Lynch cast him, and Lynch did a interview with Entertainment Weekly, and they talked about specifically this character. And this is a quote. I had that idea a long time ago. He's in reference to the green glove. So this is a thing that Lynch has been wanting to put in something. He says, I had that idea a long time ago, and it worked its way into Twin Peaks. And Freddie, played by Jake Wardle, I discovered on the internet. A friend of mine wrote and said, you should check this guy out. He does these impressions, all these different dialects. I don't know, 5 years go by at least. I saw him and I contacted him and I wanted him for this part. Lo and behold, it all happened. He's from East London and a Cockney and the real deal. He is fantastic. So this guy is the actor is known for doing accents. You can find, I'll put the YouTube video in. There's like many YouTube videos where he does like,
hello YouTube, Trucer992 here, and after a long absence I'm back in the accent shed, as I like to call it, and I'm going to be doing all the accents I've done in my previous videos, plus some new ones, and also a load of other voices that I've not shown before. Hope you enjoy. So I was talking to this Russian bird in a pub the other night, right? And she was teaching me her language.
He is like known for his dialect or whatever. That's his...
Okay, that's great. No, I don't think that changes anything. I don't know if he speaks like this or if anyone really speaks with this, but to me, it just feels like it is over the top intentionally to call attention to itself and makes everything about Freddie put me a little bit at dis-ease. I feel a little uncomfortable taking him at face value. I don't know where this is going yet.
So can I prod a little bit? Okay, I know where it's going. You don't know where it's going, so I won't say anything that will ruin that experience. But I am curious to prod you a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have a negative impression of him?
No. Just that I'm not sure I can take his story at. Yes, that's okay. More of it. Yes.
Okay.
Not to say that he's lying or.
So you think maybe he could be lying about the giant because it doesn't track. You were saying it doesn't track with how you imagine the giant to be.
Yeah. So I can go a little bit by bit through here. So I was as he's talking to Jimmy and they're chit chatting back and forth. He talks about the beginning of the story. He gets up, got out of bed. I was so pleased that he did do the day in the life reference because that's the first thing that popped into my head. So for him to do that entirely was really fun. One of the lines that is super important there, obviously, in that song, which is one of my favorite Beatles songs of all time, because I love the mix of both John and Paul together in one song going back and forth. I just love their separation, but that's complementary through the song. It's really cool. So that's a Paul part of this. But it kind of, that's the part where it fades into the John, where he's saying, and somebody spoke and I went into a dream. Love that part of that song. So that obviously fits in perfectly narratively with all of this. So as he continues, he says he goes down this alleyway. He feels like he is kind of wasting his life just going out every night, and he feels like he should be doing more. So he climbs up on a bunch of boxes that are there for fun, which is, I guess some people have fun in different ways, and gets sucked up into this vortex.
He's coming back from a bar.
Sure.
So he's lit. And if you've ever been lit, you're going to climb on some boxes. If you see some, I have memories of like being real lit and making someone pull over, and because I saw construction equipment in like a field and just ran at top speed and just jumping off the construction equipment. So you do some pretty wild things.
I'm so glad you're still here.
Yeah.
So he gets sucked up. He tells a story about meeting the fireman who gives him these very explicit instructions. There's a store near your flat. You're going to go there. You're going to buy a glove. It's in a package that's open. There's only one glove. He tells him all these things. And when have we seen the Race of Giants do anything that explicit?
Episode 8. Remember episode 8?
When we talk about that, he can't tell him certain things. He has to be oblique.
Right. But do you remember we made a joke about that? Because yes, in the beginning it was, I'll tell you 3 things and I'm only permitted to say this. And eventually he's like, yeah, there's something at Leo's house.
There's a clue at Leo's house. You will require medical attention.
Yeah. This thing, you got to look under the thing, and so he did get it. He literally says Leo locked in a hungry horse or whatever.
But he doesn't say like he's in a jail cell in a town called Hungry Horse. This sounds to me very much like Freddy's saying like, this is the store you need to go to. This is the address. If you go down aisle 3 at the end, you're going to find at the end cap, there's it just feels so.
Okay, I will defend the giant and say, what if?
Oh, now he's the giant, not just the fireman. All right.
Right. Well, it's hard.
I'm being an asshole. I'm sorry.
I'll defend a giant, whether it's the same. And I don't really know. I go back and forth a little bit on whether they're the same person or not. You know, did the giant graduate? Did he go to fireman school? And become a fireman?
Good for him.
When you're interacting with the giant, from the outside, it may sound like I will tell you 3 things, and this is all I'm permitted to say. But when you internalize the giant's knowledge, you may have a deeper understanding, and then if you explain it to someone, you say it in regular words.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I needed to go here. It was a specific thing, because in his head, he may have just gotten a word combination that would sound cool, but telling it to his friend, it's going to be, because he's internalized it. He knows it.
Okay. I mean,
I would say that.
I hope. I mean, I want to be Team Freddy here, but something about him just feels.
That's okay.
It just feels very off. I just like the fireman felt really chatty and very direct because he comes back and says, "Oh yeah," then he also told me this bit. It's like you got to go to the United States of America, to this town called Twin Peaks, not like there are peaks in the West or like something. You know, like he tells him, "Here's your flight," and the ticket was already booked for him. Like it just feels so convenient. And here's the thing, I don't know where this is going, but I do have some vague recollections of something with the green, and we have the green glove, and it talks about like I said, he has the Cockney rhyming slang, which I just can't skip over because it's one of my favorite things in the world. I popped the job's worth in the loaf with my green glove, so loaf of bread is head. Love that. I fear I snapped his Gregory peck his neck. Love that. I just love Cockney rhyming slang. But when you talk about this being inside and outside of a story, this feels to me like a deus ex machina of a creation that is there to serve a purpose and is drawing attention to itself about how obvious it is that it is this thing that needs to be here because it needs to solve a problem. That's what it feels like to me. So I don't know. I don't know where it goes exactly, and it's a half-baked thing based on half recollections. So I don't know if it's accurate at all. It's just the feeling I have at the moment. And I want to like him because I really like the actor and I like the character, but just the way the story is told feels very unsettling.
I really like it because what did we just hear Frank Truman say? Like it was better not be one of your dad's tall tales. Like this feels very much like folklore or Arthurian legend, or like a thing with a magical glove that is going to defeat the thing, and the knight's going to get the glove, like Sir Gawain, the Green Knight. He's got that sash that protects him. It feels very much like that.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks is a world of different stories. And we're getting all these different stories. We're getting the Candy, Mandy, and Sandy's. And we're getting like this thing feels very much like a legend. Like, and in that way, it is convenient, but aren't all of those stories convenient in that way?
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like it's like mythological.
That's a really good point. I want to clarify too. I'm not upset by it. I'm not like, I guess there's sometimes you could be like Deus Ex. I'm like, oh, isn't that convenient? You didn't know how to fix your story, so you just threw this thing in. I don't mean that at all. I mean that like it is in this meta narrative sense of like pieces of things. It almost feels like a tulpa is being created to serve a purpose. And it's not at all a negative. So I don't want anyone to think of being like down on this. I think it's actually very interesting that it could possibly be this thing.
You want to see if Renee will be there?
Yeah, maybe.
But she's married.
I know.
I love this because it's another thing that I keep pointing out that calls back to the original series, and that is James being James. Like, we learned to Renee. We know he loves Renee. We watch Renee watching him and cry. She's married. This is so James being James. Laura's with Bobby. Donna's with Mike. And then all of a sudden, James is hooking up with Maddie. So, yeah, of course she's married. And that's 100% Jamestown. You can't take the James out of the James.
Not to mention, what's her name? The car fixer.
Oh, sure. Evelyn and Malcolm.
And the
her
Evelyn
husband.
of it all, too,
Yeah.
of course.
He is always with married women or women that have boyfriends. So it's 100% James on brand. Freddy's 23, which is a 5. You don't get a lot of 5s, too many 5s, but you get 5 fingers. And that's what you put in a glove, a green glove, which is on the right hand. Now we get the opposite of the left hand, the ring finger, the Owl Cave ring that goes on there. And this is on the right hand.
Good call.
So it's something interesting. And also we see the light go over Laura's right eye, but we saw a lot of people being killed with the left eye. So a lot of right and left things going on. He talks about it being a pile driver as well, which is an interesting phrase to use. That's all I have for this. I talked about the giant using people for purposes. And clearly, Freddy has a purpose, and it's connected to Twin Peaks. All right, so James is now going to check. I got to go check the furnaces. So James goes to check the furnaces, and he hears a familiar chime, and he finds a metal door.
Going down to the furnaces like this always just makes me think, especially because it's a hotel, it makes me think of The Shining, the Overlook Hotel. It's so creepy that he has to go down there. And we hear the same sound that Ben and Beverly were trying to locate previously. It's the Josie sound. We're hearing that background, or Tibetan kind of bowl ring.
Josie sound, same sound you hear when Cooper goes into his dream.
Yep.
That's kind of Gregorian or whatever. What did you call it? Tibetan
tone. I forget what it's called. Yeah, I forget. Yes. But yes, we hear that. And you mentioned the metal door. That is the last thing that we end on with that scene. Like, I didn't seem significant to me, or did I miss something? It just was like a door.
Well, it's a door. Write it in your diary, and we'll see if that has any significance.
You're just pointing at it for later. Okay.
Just randomly pointing at the door for no reason. This reminds me very much of when they went under Calhoun Memorial Hospital in the international ending, when Mike, they shot the ending where Mike's under there with his little candles, and Cooper and Harry are there. Like, it feels like the same type of thing under the Great Northern. It's also, we didn't really talk about, it's like James is a security guard at the Great Northern, which is just kind of neat to think, like, you know, what's happened to him? Like, he was in this accident and he's a little slow now, they say, you know, as well. So what a life he's had. Like, no mention of Donna. We don't know where Donna is. He's kind of all alone. He's pining after this married woman. He's playing his music, but he's still playing the same song he played how many years ago. He's not putting out any new hits. And he's working as a security guard. And his only friend is a guy with a green glove that he can't take off even surgically.
Yeah.
So, you know, life's kind of hard for James right now, I think.
He was always cool. Speaking
of hard, it's going to be a hard drinking going on at the Elks Point Bar, number 9. Sarah Palmer has a nightcap and takes out the trash.
Oh, I wonder if there really was. I like the Beatles connection again. Yeah, the way that Sarah comes in there looking around. Well, first of all, the neon, almost the same color red as the Bang Bang bar as well. Everyone's going to the same place to get their neon done. The way she's looking around when she comes in there, that doesn't seem to me like it's her regular spot. This is a place out of desperation, maybe.
Yeah, we saw that she ran out of booze.
So is this the same night? Okay, cool. I didn't.
Yeah. She literally left. We watched her leave, and she's like, "There's no more booze here."
Okay, so this is a continuation of that. All right, well, needs must. So she goes presumably to the nearest bar. She got the guy with the Truck You shirt.
Yeah, what a great awful shirt.
Awful. And just the way it's written too, it strikes me as like maybe David Lynch wrote it on set, like on the shirt, because it looks like his handwriting or something, the way from the things we've seen.
Yeah, somebody made it. Yeah. If it's not him, he clearly had it, I think, made for this thing.
Because it's not professionally made. It kind of slanted and like the letters kind of crunched together. It's great. It's terrific. Sarah's sitting there. She orders her Bloody Mary. This guy's not going to leave her alone. And the way that Sarah says, "I'll eat you," is so friggin' good. The way that she's able to switch between the Sarah that we know and whatever else is going on here is beautiful. I mean, Grace Zabriskie, of course, but like just be able to turn on a dime like that. We see that again at the end of the scene. But this guy had it coming with a free country. It's a free country. It's just disgusting. And then she does the same thing that we saw Laura do in the red room. Hands the face, pulls the face away like a mask. And behind it, we see blackness. We see what looks like a stabby little insect sort of thing coming out of her face. We see a hand going by, left hand, with a blackened ring finger. And then we see a big finger. Smile. Kind of reminds me of like Laura's smile from the homecoming photo, but I looked and it's not actually the same. It doesn't really even look like her smile at all.
It reminds me more of the smile Laura does in the Missing Pieces. When she's looking up at the fan and she gets that fucking crazy, really wide kind of like crazy
Yeah, I want to
smile.
take a look at that. That's great. Okay. Yeah. So you see those three things together and it's fucking bananas. It's so cool to see. Are you sure you really want to mess with me? Terrific. And then, that quick, super fast, sped up shot of her like eating his neck is so cool.
That's one of the best lines ever. Do you really want to fuck with this?
Do you really want to fuck with this?
Is what she says before she eats his face. I'm definitely Team Sarah.
Oh,
This
she's
guy's
great.
an absolute piece of shit. I know that she's overcome with Judy. She's living in darkness. She's stuck in a time loop, but this guy deserves it. So, as someone who's like the character of Sarah, as like someone whose daughter was abused and who was abused herself, if we read more into that frog moth entering her mouth and saying that was young Sarah, and all of the things that she was saying at the liquor store, like, this happened to me. This is like a well-earned revenge scene, taking out on this misogynistic piece of shit. It's the second time we get the C word in the return. We also got that from Richard Horn as well. Even like in the beginning, though, she's saying like, please, like telling him to leave calmly. She's having manners. She's not really pushing. And it's like, how many women have to deal with that until it just gets to the point where you just want to eat the person's face off? It's great. I love this scene. I love her reaction to him on the ground. She's like, when she pretends like she doesn't know what happens. It's so beautiful. And how she threatens the bartender.
Yes, exactly. The way she's able to switch between those two personas and just like, I don't know what happened. He just fell over with half of his neck missing. And then what she says, yeah, sure is a mystery, huh? So chilling.
It's great.
So chilling.
Great.
It's
Grace
really, really
Zabriskie's
good.
The best.
But I will also say what's funny is the bartender saying, honey, we got a dead one at the bar. It's really a funny freaking line.
Probably happened before, but not in quite the same way.
Not the same way. You can't imagine.
And I love seeing inside Laura's face, bright, white light, this pure goodness, and inside Sarah's is dark and sinister. And again, for me, it's Laura confronted and accepted the horrors of her situation, overcame it and won, and has this great ending in Fire Walk With Me. And Sarah turned inward, turned to booze, and just festered and became this monster.
Absolutely. Oh, it's such a good scene.
It's very cool. All right, so we're going to go to the Roadhouse, Dan. Lissy performs while Sophie and Megan talk about the nut house, Billy, and Megan's mother. Sophie, by the way, is played by Emily Stoffel, who was David Lynch's wife at the time. She was in Inland Empire, and she's in What Did Jack Do? And her sister played Ruth Davenport's head.
Oh,
so
well, there you go.
Megan is played by Shane Lynch. No relation.
Yeah, so we got the two of them. Again, another one of these bar scenes of people talking about other people that we don't know. Although in this case, we do find out about some people we have been trying to figure out what's been going on with Billy. So it turns out, Megan's flying in her room instead of going to the nut house. I'm assuming this is all Sparkle or Sparkle related. She stole Paula's sweater. Who's Paula? We'll never know. Maybe.
Yeah, we got a lot of names to go through, and a lot connecting to people we have heard. So we're having some connections.
We hear the whole story of like, have you seen Billy? Sophie says, I heard you were the last person to see him. She tells the story of Billy bleeding, coming running to the back of her house, jumping over a 6-foot fence.
Number 6.
Oh, you're right. Coming into the kitchen, hanging his head over the sink, bleeding everywhere, running out again. We find out that Megan's mom is Tina, that we heard about from Audrey and Charlie. Tina and Billy had a thing. Every time Billy's name was mentioned, Tina would smile. And the way that when Sophie asked, like, what's your mom's name? And Megan says it's Tina, there's that music cue and the way she looks down. It's just like that moment of like significance there is cool.
Yeah, it changes. And we know, as you said, Audrey hated Tina.
Yeah. And then again, we have this moment of repeated a couple times in this scene. Megan says, I can't remember if my uncle was there. And then she continues with the story. And then she says it again, I can't remember if my uncle was there. And she seems kind of unsettled that she can't quite remember. So this is the third time in this episode that we have this memory thing happening. So really just pointing to that throughout the entire episode of something going on.
Right. And you remember, like, when that woman was driving that sick, dying kid, vomiting kid, they were going to meet the uncle. Her uncle. There's the uncle from Fire Walk with Me. Uncles are a recurring thing as well. But could it be connected to the other uncle? We don't know.
We don't know. But the memory thing was really cool to call that explicitly back again. And then we end the scene of the episode with a really cool song, Wild West by Lissy, which was super fun. The way that it kicks into the chorus is just a really great song at the end of this episode. But anything else in this conversation between the two of them?
Well, it's a lot of recurring thematically similar Roadhouse scenes that we keep seeing, which are kids doing things they shouldn't. We get the smoking babies that Richard's harassing.
Right.
We get Ella and Chloe. Ella had that armpit rash, and it's perhaps Annie's daughter in my head. That was played by Sky Ferreira. We hear about Paula and, Megan wearing her sweater. And of course, you talked about all the different things with Billy. So we have to still ask who Billy is. We hear about Billy. Sophie says Megan was the last to see him. So Megan's the last to see Billy. But we also know that Chuck told Audrey that Tina was the last to see Billy.
But they were together.
They were together. Yep. They were.
But they were together.
Right. And so if the farmer is Billy, who Andy was supposed to meet and then disappeared, it could make sense that maybe he got beat up by Richard and then ran, and that's why he was bleeding and jumping over 6-foot fences when he took off. Or, as I'm suggesting, Billy is also Billy Zane, because she's inside and outside of the show at the same time. So it's a lot of names. You get a lot of names here, but the first time we're actually connecting to Audrey's story in any kind of way that's connected to the world of Twin Peaks, specifically to the Roadhouse,
right?
Which is where she's trying to go, and that's where the story wants to take her. So it's interesting. Like, who are these characters? And they're talking about a nut house, and like, there's all of these like interesting elements that we're not getting much to go on, but we're just hearing about all of these names. So we'll see what happens.
And the way that you were talking with Dana Gould about like how Lynch is using the return to tell a whole bunch of stories. These are just more stories that are out there. It's just filling in the world just by kind of giving us glimpses of a larger thing that's going on, and we only get to see the bits and pieces of it. So I think it's really cool in that way.
Yeah. And just this whole Billy Tina thing, like how we're connected to Audrey. What is going on? Why is he covered in blood? Doesn't make sense though, because if Billy was the farmer, all the stuff about getting the truck back, and none of that stuff happened. So who knows, Dan? We don't know because we're done. We're done unless you have something.
That was part 14. We only got a few more to go.
Part 14, part 15. Can't wait for part 15. I talked about part 15 a long time ago that we would get back to part 15. We'd eventually get to 15, and now we got to 15. I don't know if you remember in what context, but I can't wait to talk about it. A lot of stuff happens in part 15. A lot of stuff is going to happen in every episode until it's over. So
bangers till the end.
They're all great. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
You go.
No, you go. You thank everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you guys had fun. Let us know who you think the dreamer is. And we'll read it and say,
I think it's Eric.
I think it is me.
I'm pretty sure it's Eric.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
that I'm holding this whole thing together. And eventually I'm going to wake up. But yeah, there's lots. There's so many things coming that I'm so excited about. But yeah, I don't know. Janie Zatolpa. That's it.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. I don't know if you were going to thank everybody.
No, I'm not thanking anybody. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate you spending your time with us. So see you next time.
One of my notes was just the window washer! !
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Who ordered just cheese? Fellas, let's pack a lunch. We're taking a walk in the woods.
That's a good one.
They did it. They did
do it.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again. And in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.